So today on Sexy Wednesdays, we are talking how you can move from sexual shame to sexual confidence. And this reminds me of a question from one of my clients by the name of Renee. Renee has been heavily abused and traumatized, and when she met her husband in her mid-20s, they instantly fell in love and got married in a space of 2 years. However, after the honeymoon period was over, Renee began to have a hard time expressing herself in the bedroom. She began to feel a lot of body shame, and as a result, she started to put on a lot of weight, where deep inside, she was so scared that she might lose love and affection of her husband, which made her shy away from sex more and more. On top of that, if she would self-pleasure, she could only climax by using a certain type of fantasy. And while there is nothing wrong with occasional fantasy, in her particular instance, the type of fantasy was actually re-traumatizing her body. So when she would orgasm and she would experience the peak pleasure, she would instantly shut down, disconnect, push her pleasure down, and actually begin to drench in incredible amount of shame. Now, when it comes to shame, without a question, there is no greater space than our sexuality. And sexual shame leads to so many sexual secrets, sexual acting out, and sexual inhibitions. So what I'm gonna share with you today is the Sexual Shame Buster, which is a 3-step process that allows you to move from a place of sexual shame to sexual confidence. The first part of this process is to feel the feeling and breathe into it. Now, this is really important because the second people feel sexual shame, they try to run away from it. They try to hide away from it. They try to push it away. And this is the very reason why sexual shame is so uncomfortable. But if you allow yourself to feel the shame arising and actually breathe into the sensation and the feeling, the emotion of the shame, guess what? You will train yourself to actually have the courage to feel the shame and stay present with it. The second part of this process is called dissociation. Now, dissociation is the process where you are dissociating the experience from the feeling. So in Renee's example, I encouraged her to start dismantling the unfavorite fantasy from the feelings of shame. So when she will start to self-pleasure and she will go into the fantasy and feel the shame arising, I'll encourage her over and over again to try and experience the fantasy without the shame, to try and experience the experience itself without the feeling. And then do exactly the opposite, to try and feel the emotion, the feeling without the fantasy, to try and have her feel the shame while moving away from the experience. So in the second part of the process, once again, you are dissociating the experience from the emotion and the emotion from the experience. And while this might sound simplistic, it gives your brain and it gives your sexuality the possibility that this is available. Most people their entire lives are running away from feeling sexual shame. But to be able to feel and experience that, hey, I can have this fantasy without drenching in shame, and I can drench in shame without having this fantasy, is extremely empowering. And the third part of this process is my most favorite, which is the reassociation. So once you have dismantled the experience from the feeling, it is time to replace the experience with the feeling, with the emotion that you desire, which is sexual confidence. So as you go into the fantasy, now you'll start to substitute the shame for confidence. And in Renee's example, I'll encourage her to actually find part of herself, find part of her body where she can tap into confidence. Now, oftentimes, because Renee was experiencing so much of body disconnect and body shame, there was no way for her whole body to feel confident and courageous. But there was always some small part of herself, maybe a place in her womb or like a pocket in her heart, where she could tap into confidence and actually begin to experience this uncomfortable fantasy from a space of confidence, and begin to create a connection in her nervous system where she is rewiring a new neural pathways, the experience and sexual confidence. So to recap, the sexual shame buster process, the first step is to feel the feeling and breathe into it, which allows you to stay present with the shame. The second part of this process is to dissociate the feeling and the experience and the feeling. And the third part of this process is the reassociation, in which you are bringing to this experience a new way of feeling sexual confidence. You're actually bringing in the emotion of confidence into the experience. Now, without a question, this is a process. It is a process and it takes time, but it is the very same process that allows your body, your sexuality, and your nervous system to heal at its core and actually replace sexual shame with aliveness, with vibrancy, and with the most profound way of being inside of your body. So try the sexual shame buster and let me know in the comments beneath this video, how did it feel? What is your experience like? And how is sexual shame buster actually empowering your sexual experiences? Also, I'm gonna invite you to join me on my Facebook group, which is Dagmar Khan Confidence, for greater conversation on helping you feel sexy and confident in your body. And lastly, if you want to take your sexual healing one step further, I invite you to download the Sexual Healing for a Modern Day Goddess Guide. Inside of this incredible resource, I will not only share with you in depth why every single woman on this planet needs sexual healing, but also guide you step by step through practices that you can do by yourself in the safety and comfort of your home, or with your partner before lovemaking, during lovemaking, or as a standalone healing session that will allow you to heal, that will allow you to integrate and up-level the connection to your body, to your sexuality, and to your partner in the most meaningful ways.